Hello, dear students. In this video, we are going to see about single inheritance. In the previous video, we saw types of inheritance. So in this video, we are going to see only on single inheritance in Python. So we know what is inheritance is, right? One class get the property of other class. So we can able to reuse the properties. So we don't want to write the same content again. For example, you consider there is a class called person. So person means we are every human beings are person only. Everybody have name, age, address. So these things are common for everyone. So when I have class called person, I can have all the general data of a person. So then I have another class called student. So student is also a person. So they will also have name, age, address, and all. So when I create a student class, I don't want to again include the data of name, age, address and all, right? I can reuse this data from the person class. So the student class can inherit person as the parent so that it can reuse it. So that is what a simple example of single inheritance. So here is a general example of how to create a child class. Like class, child, and inside the bracket give the parent name. So single inheritance means one child class inherit from one parent. That is what. So here you can consider the class person as the parent, and here we have the child class student. Inside the bracket, you have to give the parent. So this becomes the child, and this is the parent. And this is how we can define a parent class, normal class name. And we have a function inside a normal function called show. We know that whenever we define any function inside a class, we should have a parameter called self, which denotes the current object. And then here we have a child class. So child class means only one speciality. Nearby the class name, inside the parenthesis, you have to give the parent. So student class is going to inherit from person class. As I told you, student is also a person. So whatever belong to person will also belongs to student. So here I have a function. So here is a simple example of single inheritance. So I have a class called person, and we know what is the purpose of a constructor: to initialize the data members of the class, or to initialize the object. So I have a constructor. Always constructor have the name in it, and here I have only one information, age. So then I just initialize the age. And then I have another class called student, which is going to inherit the person. Here, I'm going to get the age because student is also having age. But the initialization, we can pass it to the parent because I don't want to redo it again here because this is already done there. So what can I do? I can call this constructor in the parent. So if you want to access anything from the parent, you can use the super keyword. So you can say super. So it denotes the parent. Who is the parent person? Dot. I'm going to call this function. So dot underscore underscore init underscore underscore. And this data I'm going to pass to the parent. So this will be calling this part, and this age for the student will also be initialized. And then the student class also have a normal function called display, which is also present inside student class. You can see the indentation and just display the age. Even though it is initialized here, the student can able to access anything from the parent also in this case. So now I'm creating an object for the student. Using that, I can able to call the date display function. If you want to access anything else, if you have some other function inside the person, that can also be accessed. So now let us see one simple example so that you will understand it clearly. So now let me create a class. Let me put the person as my parent class. And here I'm going to have a constructor. So how to create a constructor? Underscore underscore in it. I can have name, age, whatever you want. Let's make it simple. So I'm going to have name and age here. And then what I can do else is I can okay. So I can able to have another function called df display. So here it is going to display all the data. So what are the things I can display? I can display the name and age. So since we have the self, which is a current object, which can automatically inherit, it always specify the current object, no? So which object is going to use this function? That object is denoted by self. So I can say self.name, self.age. Okay, so if you want, you can add any number of functions here. That's it. So we can finish this parent. Now we are going to have a child class. So child class, so we have come out of this class. Okay, indentation, you look at the indentation very clearly. So now I have a student class which is going to inherit this person as parent. Now I have student is also having name, age, everything. And in addition to that, student may also have a register number. So that is called student ID. So name and age is already initialized in the parent. So I don't want to do again. I can reuse it. That's what inheritance is. So to redo use, I have a super keyword. So using that, I can call the parents constructor. And I'm going to pass the name and age over there. So this part will be calling the parents constructor. Here is the parents constructor. So the name and age will be given here. And the student ID alone will be initialized here. So if you ask what are the data about student means, student also have name, age. In one more special thing about student is they have an ID. So that alone is done here, and the rest, this name and age is reused here. That is what the reusability, the purpose of inheritance. And you can also see in the parent we have a display info. This here we are displaying name and age alone. But in the child, I'm not going to repeat to display name and age again. So I'm just calling self dot display info. See, just using self dot display, I'm calling the parents construct parents display info. So this will be called here inside. Okay, then again I'm displaying here only the student ID. So as I told you, the student can access anything from their parent. So using the current object, I'm calling the display info function present in the parent as normal function. And then only student information is displayed here. So I hope you got it. Now let us create an object for this. So let me create an object S1 equal to student. So capital. And here you can see, and I am passing name, age, and student ID. So Alice, age, and the ID, some ID, student ID. Now this, you know that whenever you create an object, who will be automatically called constructor. So name, age, Alice, 20, and this S1, 2, 3, 4 will be coming to here. And the name and age will be passed immediately to the parent, and this initialization will be done. And then the student ID will be initialized here. Now I'm calling using, if you want to access anything from the class, you want an object of that. So using object, I can just call display student information. From here, we are calling the in display information. So first it will print the name and age, followed by it will print the student ID which is available here. Similarly, I can create one more object, S2 equal to student, and then I can also call. So we do one thing. We will be printing print a dash here so that you can separate from one another. So save the program and run the program. And when you run it, you can see the difference. So you can see first object. What is the first object? Alice, and the rest number. So first name, Alice. So that both are displayed here in this place. And then it will come back here and it is displaying the student ID. Similarly, for the second object, what is the second object? So when in this place will automatically call the student constructor. We know that whenever an object is created, it will automatically call its own constructor, that class constructor. So it will come and pass the name, age here. Name and age will be sent back to its parent. So the name and age will be initialized here. So this line need not be repeated here again. So that's what the reusability. And then only student ID is displayed here. The rest of the things we are calling from the parent. So by which we can reuse some common things. We don't want to repeat it again and again. So the main thing here is inheritance, single inheritance. A child is inheriting from one single parent. And whatever belongs to the parent will also belong to the child. And when you define a constructor, you just pass the data belong to the parent itself. No need to write this again. Only you want to initialize the important special data of this particular class. And then as your normal object creation, you can use this function using the same object. If you want to explicitly call this, you can also call this function using the child object. This is what single inheritance is. Hope you have got it. If you have doubt, please listen to it again so that you'll understand. Practice it once again so that it will be easy for you to understand. Thank you, Ma. God bless you.